Living in North Idaho 101, Episode 2, From Dream to Blueprint, The Pre-Construction Journey, a video series by Alex, B2K Construction. Welcome back to Living in North Idaho 101. I'm Alex with B2K Construction. In Episode 1, we talked about land, what to look for, what to watch out for, how to make sure the property you're buying will actually work for what you want to build. If you haven't watched that one yet, go back and start there. Everything we're about to talk about today assumes you've already got land, or you're close to it, and now you're ready to start thinking about the actual house. This episode is about the journey from, I want to build a home, to, we're ready to break ground. That journey is longer than most people think. It involves more decisions than most people expect. And if you've never built a custom home before, especially if you're coming from a place where you just bought existing houses, this whole process might feel overwhelming. It doesn't have to be. Today I'm going to walk you through everything that happens before construction begins. The design process. Working with architects and engineers. Planning for North Idaho's specific conditions. Permits and approvals. Budgeting realistically. Choosing a builder. By the end of this, you'll understand exactly what's ahead of you. No surprises, no confusion. Just a clear path from dream to blueprint. Let's get into it. Before you draw a single line or talk to a single architect, you need to get clear on what you actually want. That sounds obvious, but you'd be surprised how many people start the building process with only a vague idea. I want something nice, maybe 3 bedrooms, a big kitchen, and then struggle through months of design changes, cost overruns, and frustration because they never really define their vision up front. So let me ask you some questions, and I want you to actually think about these before you move forward. How are you going to live in this house? Not just today, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Are your kids going to be living with you, or are they about to leave for college? Are your parents going to move in at some point? Do you work from home and need dedicated office space? Do you have hobbies that need specific rooms? A workshop, a studio, a gym? Think about your daily life. Where do you spend your mornings? Where do you relax in the evenings? Do you entertain a lot? Do you value privacy or togetherness? The answers to these questions shape your floor plan more than any Pinterest board ever will. What matters most to you? You can't have everything. Well, you can, but it costs a lot more than most people want to spend. So what's non-negotiable? Is it a huge kitchen? A master suite with a view? A 3-car garage? An open floor plan? A separate guest space? And what are you willing to compromise on? Maybe the formal dining room isn't essential. Maybe the 4th bedroom could be smaller. Maybe you don't need a soaking tub and a walk-in shower. One or the other is fine. Get clear on your priorities. Write them down. What's your real budget? Not what you wish you could spend. Not what your friends spent on their house 5 years ago. Your actual, honest, realistic budget. And I mean the whole thing. Land, development costs, design fees, permits, construction, landscaping, driveway, septic, well, appliances, window treatments, furniture, contingency for surprises. Building a custom home in North Idaho right now typically runs somewhere between $200 and $400 per square foot for quality construction. That's a wide range because finishes, complexity, and site conditions vary enormously. A simple ranch on a flat lot with standard finishes is different from a multi-level home cut into a hillside with custom everything. This is a question I get all the time, and the answer is, it depends. Let me explain your options. Full-service architect. This is a licensed professional who designs your home from scratch based on your specific needs, your specific site, and your specific vision. They handle everything. Initial concepts, floor plans, elevations, structural coordination, material specifications, construction documents. A good architect doesn't just make a pretty drawing. They solve problems. They think about how the house sits on the land, how light moves through the spaces, how traffic flows from room to room, how the structure will perform over decades. For complex projects, steep sites, unusual designs, high-end custom homes, a full-service architect is worth every penny. They catch issues in the design phase that would cost 10 times as much to fix during construction. The downside? Cost. Architectural fees for a custom home can run anywhere from 5 to 15% of construction cost, sometimes more. On a $500,000 build, that's $25,000 to $75,000 in design fees. For some projects, that's absolutely justified. For others, it might be more than you need. Stock plans or semi-custom plans. The opposite end of the spectrum. You buy a pre-designed plan from a catalog or website. Maybe you make some modifications. Flip the floor plan, add a bedroom, change the garage, but you're starting from something that already exists. This is much less expensive. A stock plan might cost a few hundred to a few $1,000s. Modifications add to that, but you're still nowhere near full custom architectural fees. The trade-off? The house wasn't designed for your specific site. You might need to adapt it to work with your terrain, your views, your orientation, and you're limited by what modifications are practical. For straightforward builds on relatively flat lots, stock plans can work great. Design-build approach. This is where you work with a builder who has design capabilities in-house or has strong relationships with local designers and architects. At B2K Construction, this is often how we work. We're partnered with local architects and engineers who understand North Idaho, the soil, the climate, the codes, the practical realities of building here. We can help you through the design process while also bringing our construction expertise to the table from day one. The advantage is integration. Your designer and builder are working together from the start, not operating in silos. The design reflects what's actually buildable within your budget. Problems get solved before they become expensive surprises. This approach works well for people who want custom design but also want a streamlined, coordinated process. My recommendation? For most custom homes in North Idaho, you need some level of professional design help. Even if you start with a stock plan, you'll want a local designer or architect to adapt it to your site and make sure it meets our codes and conditions. What you don't necessarily need is the most expensive option. Match the level of design service to the complexity of your project. A straightforward single-story home on a flat lot doesn't need the same design investment as a multi-level contemporary on a challenging hillside. Talk to your builder early. Before you hire an architect, a good builder can help you figure out what level of design service makes sense for your specific situation. Not what you wish you could spend, not what your friends spent on their house 5 years ago. Your actual, honest, realistic budget. And I mean the whole thing. Land, development costs, design fees, permits, construction, landscaping, driveway, septic, well, appliances, window treatments, furniture, contingency for surprises. Building a custom home in North Idaho right now typically runs somewhere between $200 and $400 per square foot for quality construction. That's a wide range because finishes, complexity, and site conditions vary enormously. A simple ranch on a flat lot with standard finishes is different from a multi-level home cut into a hillside with custom everything. Here's where local knowledge really matters. Your architect or designer might be talented. They might have a great portfolio. But if they don't understand North Idaho, they're going to make mistakes that cost you money and comfort. Let me tell you what building here requires. Snow loads. We get real winters in North Idaho. Snow accumulates on roofs, and that snow is heavy. Your roof structure has to be engineered for the snow loads in your specific location. This isn't optional, it's code, and the requirements vary depending on where you are. A house in the valley might have different requirements than a house at higher elevation. If your designer doesn't understand this, you'll end up with either an under-engineered roof that's dangerous or an over-engineered roof that costs more than it needs to. Either way, you lose. Frost depth. In North Idaho, the ground freezes in winter. Foundations have to extend below the frost line to prevent heaving and cracking. That depth varies by location, but is typically around 30 inches or deeper. If you're coming from California, your designer might not automatically think about this. Footings that would be fine in a mild climate will fail here. Insulation and energy efficiency. Heating a home through North Idaho winters isn't cheap. A well-designed, well-insulated home will save you money every single year for as long as you own it. That means thinking about wall assemblies, roof insulation, windows, air sealing, and mechanical systems. It means orienting the house to take advantage of passive solar gain when possible. It means designing overhangs that shade summer sun but let winter sun in. A designer who understands cold climates will build these considerations into your plans from the start. A designer who doesn't will hand you a house that's expensive to heat and uncomfortable in the worst months. Moisture management. We have wet seasons here. Rain, snow, snowmelt, ground moisture. Your house needs to manage water at every level. Proper grading around the foundation, drainage systems, waterproofing, vapor barriers, ventilated attics. The details matter. I've seen houses designed by out-of-area architects that ignored these basics. Within a few years, they had moisture problems, mold issues, foundation cracks, expensive to fix, easy to prevent with proper design. Site-specific design. This is the big one. A good designer doesn't just draw a house. They draw your house on your land. Where does the sun rise and set? Where are the views you want to capture? Where does the wind come from in winter storms? How does the terrain slope? Where will the septic system go, and how does that affect your building envelope? Where is the access, and how does the driveway connect to the house? A house that's perfectly positioned on your site will feel natural, comfortable, efficient. A house that ignores the site will fight it forever. This is why I always recommend working with local professionals, people who've built here, people who understand what this land demands. Not what you wish you could spend, not what your friends spent on their house 5 years ago, your actual, honest, realistic budget. And I mean the whole thing: land, development costs, design fees, permits, construction, landscaping, driveway, septic, well, appliances, window treatments, furniture, contingency for surprises. Building a custom home in North Idaho right now typically runs somewhere between $200 and $400 per square foot for quality construction. That's a wide range because finishes, complexity, and site conditions vary enormously. A simple ranch on a flat lot with standard finishes is different from a multi-level home cut into a hillside with custom everything. Once you have a design, it needs to be engineered. This is different from architecture. Engineers calculate the structural requirements: how big the beams need to be, how the loads transfer to the foundation, what size footings you need for your soil conditions. In North Idaho, you'll typically need a structural engineer to stamp your plans before you can get a building permit. The county wants to know that your house will stand up to snow loads, wind loads, and seismic forces. You'll also likely need engineered drawings for your septic system, designed by a licensed septic designer based on your soil test results. If your property has any unusual conditions, steep slopes, unstable soil, high water table, proximity to waterways, you might need additional engineering: geotechnical reports, grading plans, drainage engineering. None of this is optional. It's all part of getting to a permit-ready set of plans. The good news is that in North Idaho, we're generally dealing with straightforward engineering requirements for most residential projects. It's not the bureaucratic nightmare you might have experienced elsewhere. But it still needs to be done, and done correctly. A good builder coordinates all of this. At B2K, we work with local engineers who know the codes, know the terrain, and can turn around stamped drawings without unnecessary delays. Let's talk about permits. If you're coming from California or Washington, you might be bracing yourself for a nightmare. Months of waiting, endless requirements, arbitrary rejections. Relax. North Idaho is not like that. Our permitting process is straightforward and relatively fast. The county wants to make sure your house is safe and meets code. They're not trying to stop you from building. Here's what the process typically looks like. You submit your plans to the county building department. That includes architectural drawings, structural engineering, site plans showing where the house sits on the property, and your septic design. The plans go through review. They check for code compliance, setbacks, zoning requirements, structural adequacy, energy code compliance. If everything is in order, you get your building permit. This can take anywhere from a few weeks to a couple of months, depending on the county's workload and the complexity of your project. Once you have the permit, construction can begin. Throughout the build, you'll have inspections at key stages: foundation, framing, electrical, plumbing, insulation, final. These are scheduled with the county and are generally quick and efficient. The inspectors here are reasonable. They want to see things done right, but they're not looking for reasons to fail you. If you're working with a competent builder who knows the codes, inspections are not a problem. A few things that can slow down permitting. If your property is in a flood zone, wetland area, or near a waterway, you may have additional requirements and reviews. If there are CC&Rs or design review requirements from a homeowners association, those happen separately from county permitting and can add time. If your plans are incomplete or don't meet code, they'll come back with corrections. This is why working with experienced local designers and engineers matters. They get it right the first time. Overall, the permit process in North Idaho is one of the easier parts of building here. It's not the obstacle it is in other states. Not what you wish you could spend. Not what your friends spent on their house 5 years ago. Your actual, honest, realistic budget. And I mean the whole thing: land, development costs, design fees, permits, construction, landscaping, driveway, septic, well, appliances, window treatments, furniture, contingency for surprises. Building a custom home in North Idaho right now typically runs somewhere between $200 and $400 per square foot for quality construction. That's a wide range because finishes, complexity, and site conditions vary enormously. A simple ranch on a flat lot with standard finishes is different from a multi-level home cut into a hillside with custom everything. We'll talk more about budgeting later in this episode, but for now, just know that you need to be honest with yourself about what you can actually afford. Starting the design process without a realistic budget is a recipe for heartbreak. Now let's talk money, real numbers, real expectations. I touched on this earlier, but let's go deeper. Building a custom home is not like buying an existing home. When you buy an existing home, you know the price. You can calculate your mortgage, your down payment, your closing costs. It's predictable. Custom building is different. There are more variables, more decisions, more opportunities for costs to creep up. Here's how to approach it. Establish your total project budget first. This is everything: land, site development, design, permits, construction, contingency. Be honest with yourself about what you can afford. What financing do you have? What's your down payment? What monthly payment are you comfortable with? Then work backward. If your total budget is $700,000 and you spent $200,000 on land and site work, you have $500,000 for the house itself. That becomes your construction budget. Understand cost per square foot and its limitations. I mentioned $200 to $400 per square foot earlier. That's a useful ballpark, but it's not precise. Cost per square foot varies based on complexity of the design. A simple rectangle is cheaper than a house with lots of corners, roof lines, and angles. Foundation type. Slab is cheapest. Crawl space costs more. Full basement costs the most. Finishes. Builder-grade cabinets, fixtures, and flooring versus custom and high-end selections. This is where budgets often blow up. Site conditions. A flat, easy lot costs less to build on than a steep, challenging lot with extensive excavation and retaining walls. Mechanical systems. Standard HVAC versus high-efficiency or specialized systems. Well and septic versus connections to city services. The same square footage can cost wildly different amounts depending on these factors. Plan for contingency. Things come up. Unexpected rock when you're digging the foundation. Material price changes. Design adjustments midstream. Something you forgot to account for. You need a contingency budget. I recommend at least 10% of construction cost, preferably 15%. Set it aside. Don't touch it unless you have to. Hope you don't need it, but have it available. Allowances versus fixed pricing. When you get a construction bid, some items will be fixed prices. The builder knows exactly what it costs. Other items will be allowances, an estimated budget for something that hasn't been fully specified yet. Common allowances include lighting fixtures, plumbing fixtures, appliances, flooring, countertops, cabinets, and hardware. Allowances are danger zones. It's easy to pick selections that exceed your allowance, and suddenly you're thousands of dollars over budget across multiple categories. My advice? Specify as much as possible before construction begins. Pick your fixtures, your finishes, your materials. Get actual prices. Lock them in. The more you can convert from allowances to fixed costs, the more predictable your budget becomes. Don't forget the other costs. Beyond the construction contract, you'll have permit fees, design fees, engineering fees, surveying, utility connections, driveway, landscaping, window treatments, appliances if not included, furniture, moving costs. These add up. Budget for them. Not what you wish you could spend, not what your friends spent on their house 5 years ago. Your actual, honest, realistic budget. And I mean the whole thing. Land, development costs, design fees, permits, construction, landscaping, driveway, septic, well, appliances, window treatments, furniture, contingency for surprises. Building a custom home in North Idaho right now typically runs somewhere between $200 and $400 per square foot for quality construction. That's a wide range because finishes, complexity, and site conditions vary enormously. A simple ranch on a flat lot with standard finishes is different from a multi-level home cut into a hillside with custom everything. We'll talk more about budgeting later in this episode, but for now, just know that you need to be honest with yourself about what you can actually afford. Starting the design process without a realistic budget is a recipe for heartbreak. This might be the most important decision you make. Your builder is your partner for the next 6 months to a year or more. They're responsible for turning your plans into reality, for managing subcontractors, materials, schedules, and quality, for solving problems and communicating with you throughout the process. A great builder makes the experience exciting and rewarding. A bad builder makes it stressful and expensive. Here's how to choose wisely. Look for local experience. I've said this throughout this series, and I'll say it again. Building in North Idaho is different. You want someone who's built here, who knows the soil, the weather, the codes, the subcontractors, the suppliers. Out-of-area builders can work here, but they face a learning curve. They don't have established relationships. They don't know which subcontractors are reliable and which ones will leave you hanging. They might not anticipate the challenges that local builders see coming a mile away. Ask how many homes they've built in this area. Ask for addresses. Drive by if you can. Check references. Talk to past clients, not just the one or two the builder handpicks. Ask for a list and call several. Ask about communication. Did the builder keep them informed? Return calls promptly? Explain things clearly? Ask about problem solving. Every project has issues. How did the builder handle them? Ask about budget. Did the project come in on budget? If not, why not? Were there surprises? Ask about timeline. Did the project finish when expected? If there were delays, how were they communicated and managed? Ask if they would hire this builder again. Review their work. Visit completed projects if possible. Look at the quality of finishes, the details, the craftsmanship. If you can, visit a project in progress. See how the job site is managed. Is it organized and clean, or chaotic and messy? The condition of the job site often reflects the quality of the work. Evaluate communication style. You're going to be talking to this person a lot. Do they listen to you? Do they explain things in a way you understand? Do they seem patient with your questions? During the bidding process, how responsive are they? If they're hard to reach before they have your money, imagine what it'll be like after. Trust your gut here. If something feels off in the early conversations, it's not going to get better. Understand their contract and process. How do they structure their contracts? What's included? What's excluded? How are changes handled? What's the payment schedule? A reputable builder will have clear, detailed contracts that protect both parties. Be wary of vague proposals or handshake deals. Compare bids carefully. If you're getting multiple bids, make sure you're comparing apples to apples. Different builders might include or exclude different things. One bid might look lower, but exclude items that another bid includes. Look at specifications. What exactly are they building? What materials are they using? What finishes are assumed? The lowest bid isn't always the best value. A slightly higher bid from a better builder can save you money in the long run through fewer problems, better quality, and less stress. At B2K Construction, here's what we offer. Over 10 years of experience building in North Idaho. Deep knowledge of local conditions, codes, and best practices. Relationships with trusted local architects, engineers, and subcontractors. Clear communication throughout the process. We keep you informed. We answer your questions. We don't disappear. Quality craftsmanship that we stand behind. A collaborative approach. We work with you, not around you. Your home, your vision, built right. If you're starting this journey and you want to talk, I offer consultations before you commit to anything. Let's look at your land, talk about your goals, and see if we're a good fit. Not what you wish you could spend. Not what your friends spent on their house 5 years ago. Your actual, honest, realistic budget. And I mean the whole thing. Land, development costs, design fees, permits, construction, landscaping, driveway, septic, well, appliances, window treatments, furniture, contingency for surprises. Building a custom home in North Idaho right now typically runs somewhere between $200 and $400 per square foot for quality construction. That's a wide range because finishes, complexity, and site conditions vary enormously. A simple ranch on a flat lot with standard finishes is different from a multi-level home cut into a hillside with custom everything. We'll talk more about budgeting later in this episode, but for now, just know that you need to be honest with yourself about what you can actually afford. Starting the design process without a realistic budget is a recipe for heartbreak. Let's bring it all together. Before construction can begin, here's what needs to be in place. Land. You own it, you've closed, it's yours. Site evaluation. You know where the house will sit, where the septic will go, where the well is or will be, how access works, what site work is needed. Design. You have complete architectural plans that reflect your vision, work with your site, and meet local codes. Engineering. Structural engineering is complete and stamped. Septic design is complete and approved. Permits. Building permit is issued. You're legal to start. Budget. You have financing in place. You know your total budget. You've reviewed and signed a construction contract. Builder. You've chosen a builder you trust. Communication channels are established. Expectations are aligned. When all of these pieces are in place, you're ready to break ground. And that's when the real fun begins. I know this is a lot of information. The pre-construction phase can feel overwhelming, especially if you've never built before. There are so many decisions, so many professionals involved, so many details to track. But here's what I want you to take away from this episode. You don't have to figure it all out alone. A good builder is your guide through this process. We've done it before. We know the steps. We know the pitfalls. We know how to take your vision and turn it into a plan that's actually buildable, affordable, and right for North Idaho. At B2K Construction, we get involved early. We help you evaluate land before you buy. We connect you with designers and engineers who understand this area. We review plans for constructability and budget alignment before you finalize them. We coordinate the permit process. By the time we break ground, we've already worked through the hard stuff together. The build itself becomes the exciting part, watching your home come out of the ground, take shape, and become real. That's what we're going to talk about in Episode 3, the construction process itself. What happens, when it happens, what to expect, and how to work with your builder to make it as smooth as possible. Until then, if you're in the middle of this journey, if you've got land or you're looking at land, or you're starting to think about design, reach out. Let's have a conversation. No pressure, no commitment. Just a chance to talk through where you are and how I can help. You can find me at b2kbuilds.com or call me at 509-866-6148. I'm Alex with B2K Construction. Thanks for watching Living in North Idaho 101. Let's build something great. Not what you wish you could spend. Not what your friends spent on their house 5 years ago. Your actual, honest, realistic budget. And I mean the whole thing. Land, development costs, design fees, permits, construction, landscaping, driveway, septic, well, appliances, window treatments, furniture, contingency for surprises. Building a custom home in North Idaho right now typically runs somewhere between $200 and $400 per square foot for quality construction. That's a wide range because finishes, complexity, and site conditions vary enormously. A simple ranch on a flat lot with standard finishes is different from a multi-level home cut into a hillside with custom everything. We'll talk more about budgeting later in this episode, but for now, just know that you need to be honest with yourself about what you can actually afford. Starting the design process without a realistic budget is a recipe for heartbreak. Let's bring it all together. Before construction can begin, here's what needs to be in place. Land. You own it, you've closed, it's yours. Site evaluation. You know where the house will sit, where the septic will go, where the well is or will be, how access works, what site work is needed. Design. You have complete architectural plans that reflect your vision, work with your site, and meet local codes. Engineering. Structural engineering is complete and stamped. Septic design is complete and approved. Permits. Building permit is issued. You're legal to start. Budget. You have financing in place. You know your total budget. You've reviewed and signed a construction contract. Builder. You've chosen a builder you trust. Communication channels are established. Expectations are aligned. When all of these pieces are in place, you're ready to break ground. And that's when the real fun begins.